Hi guys, this is episode 1 of Noisy Bastards, where I take 3 of the drummers from different bands. Well, I don't take them, I call them on the phone, and we sit around talking shit for an hour. Today I've got Danny Farrant from the Buzzcocks, Vom Ritchie from Die Toten Hosen, and Guy, who's played for just about everybody, including Bruce Dickinson, Faith No More, Sham 69, and loads of people. 3 massive characters there, and I kind of knew that I wasn't going to be able to get a word in edgeways with them because they do talk a lot. Sorry guys. But it worked out really well. They all had some great things to say, they kept the conversation flowing, and I really didn't have to do a lot of work. And actually, most of the time I was sat there pissing myself laughing at what they were saying, so all good. A couple of announcements before we get into it. Vive Le Rock magazine is sponsoring the show, which I'm really happy about. There's a couple of reasons why I wanted them to get involved with what I'm doing. Firstly, they're a great bunch of guys. Secondly, they continually bust their balls to promote and support up-and-coming talent, unlike the other major magazines who charge the shit out of bands to give them a little review or something. They're also letting me run a competition for you guys. The prize is a year subscription to the magazine, which is awesome. If you haven't checked out Vive Le Rock, by the way, you should definitely go and do it because it's fucking awesome. All you got to do to enter the competition is to click on subscribe and you'll automatically be entered into it. I'm going to announce the winner on August 10th. So good luck. All right, let's get into it. Noisy Bastards, episode 1. Hi guys, welcome to Noisy Bastards. Today I'm joined by Rob and Guy.
Hello everybody, it's a great pleasure to be on Noisy Bastards.
Vom Ritchie.
Or Bastards.
Bollocks and up your bum. It's only going to get worse.
And Danny Farrant.
Hello, proud to be a Noisy Bastard.
So I guess the first thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is the recent developments with Camden Council and Denmark Street. Camden Council are planning to knock down the whole of the area, including the 12 Bar, all of the music shops, Enterprise, all that whole area. And I just wanted to find out what your thoughts were. Vom Ritchie.
Well, yeah, a bit of rock and roll history is going to be lost there, to be honest. I mean, not that I get back over anymore, but, you know, it's a good place for people to congregate in one kind of area, and it's been like an institution, that area, for years, and it'd be a big shame to see it go, I must admit, yeah.
Rob and Guy.
No, you're dead right. I mean, it started off to a degree with, you know, the death of the gorgeous Astoria, you know, and the LA2 underneath it, which I've had some of my best gigs there. I thought it was a really cool place. I mean, you know, you've got to look at London and all the kind of levels of areas you can play, whether it's a 500 cap club or 1,000 like sort of LA2, then a 2,000 or whatever it was with Astoria, and all these levels of venues as you sort of making it, if you will, and going up to the bigger level, you know, they're gone. And so it's kind of either some little shitey toilet or some big place like, you know, Brixton Academy or whatever. And obviously, like you said, Denmark Street, I remember going there as a little kid. I'm sure the other guys do as well. You sort of see your first music shop, you know, your shiny drum kit and guitars in the window, and you're like, oh my God, that looks amazing. You go in there, you just gorp away, and it's all there in one street, you know. And then, as I say, you get older, you get in bands, and then you end up around the back alley in Enterprise Studios, where it's like the home to a million rock and roll bands and punk bands and stuff like that in London and that. And I've done a few, you know, rehearsals, sessions, album pre-preps, you know, all that kind of stuff. And like Bob said, it's a hangout. So, and there's a tattoo studio there, and it's just, and the 12 Bar where we've all played shows there and hung out, and all that to go. It's like, it's just, you get more sort of another stab in the heart of the rock and roll London scene. You know what I mean?
Yep. Danny.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be very sad to see him go. Like Robin said, you know, I've had some brilliant nights in the 12 Bar, and of course the old Astoria, you know, and also you got to feel for the guys. I mean, my mate James Stevenson's got his shop down there, you know, doing up and selling guitars, and has been there for years and services lots of our friends, you know. So obviously on that sort of more personal level of people making a living, you know, that's going to change. You know what I mean? But I mean, I suppose this is a sort of sad reflection of what is happening in the business and in the world, sort of in general, of sort of how London is becoming a sort of a ghetto for the bourgeois rich, you know, people who can afford to be there. And it's sort of like a two-tier place now. I mean, it's happening everywhere. What will happen is a developer is going to make so much money from that stuff. You know, they just can't afford to stay open when places online. You know, I mean, who buys their stuff in a shop anymore? Everyone buys it online. You get it delivered. You can choose it, send it back. You know what I mean? Right. And it's just sort of a sad state. I mean, you know, being a touring musician, you know, you go around all the cities of England and you just see shops boarded up. You know, there's nothing going on. It's all places to eat and coffee shops now, and the retail industry's gone, you know, as the internet's taken over. I mean, sadly, I just think it's sort of like a reflection of the state of the nation, and sort of inevitable, really. There's not much you can do about it.
Well, there's a petition on change.org, and basically I'll put the link in the show notes, but it's a petition to try and get the council to rethink it and try and change it. But how useful do you think a petition will be? Is it worth even doing?
Who knows? All it's better doing something than nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Stick it up and give it a go, you know. I mean, at least it gives people a feeling that they're doing something and can do something, you know, but potentially, but I would have thought like there was so much money that will go into something like that, you know, who knows if it would make any difference. But I'll be very, very sad to see the 12-bar go.
Yeah, it's like what Danny was saying, the change, and, you know, sort of to me, it's like, you know, one step forward, two back in for the soul and the heart and the rock and roll things. You got to remember, there's a lot of drum shops around that area. You know what I mean? Right. And there's nothing. If you're a drummer, you can't buy stuff online. You can't hit it. You can't see what it's like. You can't hold it, feel it, tune it, tweak it, choke it, wang it, whatever. You know, lick it, love it, etc. You got to do that if you're a drummer. You got to pick things up. And all cymbals sound different, even if they're the same make and same. You know what I mean? So I don't even know where that's headed. You know, I mean, Foots came and went, and now it's come back again, which is great. But I mean, these shops are few and far between. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. It was kind of weird when Pro Perk went, you know, which is just literally down the road from me, you know, with 2 teaching studios or whatever it was downstairs as well, you know. And it's gone, and it's like, well, you know, but how can you compete with people who can, you know, store stuff and do stuff online and buy stuff in bulk? I mean, places just buying in such big quantities that those shops just can't compete, you know. And the rents in a shop in London are just massive, which is the same across the board. You know, to live in London is a cost of fortune. Vom, you've done the right thing, mate. Whereabouts are you living?
Well, in Düsseldorf, but, you know, can I just say that it's like, you know, the kind of community of rock and roll. You go like, you know, word of mouth to say, oh, so and so needs a drummer. Oh, blah blah's looking for a keyboard player. When you're mixing with people like that in that kind of area and that kind of environment, you pick up on these things and you know, and you get the best result. Like advertising in newspapers for me never ever works. But when you've got that kind of area where everyone's around, you go, oh yeah, you can catch up on it. That's all going to be lost as well, you know. So sure, it's all going to be done over newspaper ads, and you know, where's it going to now? You know. It's sort of like so easy to, because I never had a car until I was in my like mid-30s, you know. So I had to get tubes everywhere, tubes and public transport everywhere, you know. And that kind of area was perfect for me, you know. So if it was that in the country, I'd be fucked, you know. All them again as well. Intrepid Foxes, is that still going? Oh, fucking hell, it's been such a long time.
It moved to Archway.
Oh right.
Yeah, I haven't been there yet, but I've heard sort of mixed reports about it.
What was the big drum shop in Archway?
Oh God, John Shearer's old place.
That's it. Massive one, like a roundabout
Talking
almost.
Drums, yeah.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. Used to go there.
I wish that was still open. I wish if that was still open, I could literally walk there. You know, that's like 200 yards from my house. You know. But that one's a long time ago.
Brain down there. I went to see Nick and my brain do a clinic down there, you know, and I think he sort of said, who uses sort of whatever? What does he use? Pasty, you know? He's like, who uses pasty? And everyone was like, yeah. And he's like, good. Who uses something else? And I went, me. And he goes, what do you use, son? And I went, Sabian. And he went, oh, Clark. And I sort of, you know, looked at my floor. I thought, I've been dissed by Nico. You know, I was like early teens and whatnot, you know. But no, it was a great. But I remember that, like, talking drums, got to be amazing, and it was good. I think he sort of went on the run. I think. No, but enough said about that. Yeah.
On the lamb.
Yeah, Robin, you're into the sort of clinic scene, aren't you? How did you get involved in that?
Oh man, do you know, my first ever clinic was basically through a guy called Jerome Marcus, who was the rep for Sabian. And, you know, I've been with Sabian all my life, etc. And he phoned up and said, look, there's a shop in Portsmouth called 4-4, and they're having an open day there. And he said, there's a hell of a lot of children artists down there, and we need to keep the side up. Can you bop down in your car and do a bash? You know, and I was like, yeah, you know, great, no problem. And it was like, you know, a bunch of cool friends, Jason Bold, it was Russell Gilbert, you know, a few other people like that, which of course, you know, as all us drummers know, it's not a competition, it's a good hang, you know. It doesn't really matter what you're using or what band you play or who's on the bill above you or below you. It doesn't matter, we're all good guys, you know what I mean? There's no sort of egos in the drum world or whatnot, you know, or they're relatively...
I'm sure a lot of guitar players and bass players wouldn't agree with you there, Robin.
but they always blame us stuff and it goes wrong, and that's okay, because we just suck it up and know different. But, so, yeah, no, I got down there, and then when I got to the shop, I sort of loaded in, and I realised I hadn't got anything to play along to, which, of course, you know, subsequently you realise that's kind of a cool thing to do. So I sort of soloed for about 30 minutes. I sort of, you know, after having a heart attack, sort of talked about, you know, whatever, cranking the hell out of my drums, hitting them hard, and you know, and it was great. Then after that, I realised I should probably invest in an iPod or whatnot, you know what I mean? And it was a revelation, because I went to see, I think it was Mark Richardson doing some clinics, and he played along with some feeder tracks and some Skor Unknown tracks. And of course, me being a sort of a technological retard, I just assumed he'd gone to some big plush studio, got all the drums removed, and a click in one ear, and something else in another band mix in the other. And I went up to him and said, how'd you get all that wonderful mix done so that you could put the drums down? He goes, fuck off, it's the album. You know, so he's playing along to the album, and of course it makes perfect sense, because of course you're nailing the track, you're landing on the beats anyway, and you're playing them, and of course you're always going to have the drums slightly louder at a clinic than the track, and it works perfectly, unless of course you've got some drum intro where you kind of fake it. But so as soon as that went, I was like, boom, sod all this being clever out the window. I went and loaded up the iPod with all a bunch of stuff that I'd recorded, sort of a hardcore track here, reggae track here, funky track here, pop track there, and away I went, you know. So, you know, I'm not exactly answering how I got into clinics, but it does help when you've got sort of, a lot of the clinics are sort of, I hate the word, but product-based, you know, as in you know, I mean, the first clinic I went to was a Remo Spokes clinic with Terry Bozio, Terry Chimes, you know, Martin Smith, I think, and Jeff Dugwell. And it was, you know, do you remember them spokes, the Remo Spokes, that you could hit and they go, boo, and like the Octoband things or whatever Rototoms. The drums, without the drum skins. You take your drum skin off a Rototom and it was a Roto Remo Chime or whatever the hell, and they didn't really last long, but it was a good excuse for a clinic. So yeah, I popped along and that was great, you know.
Yeah, Blue Man Group, they use something sort of like that.
Who?
Blue Man Group.
They're mental, that lot.
I think they use everything.
Absolutely.
I think they do drum clinics at B&Q.
Yeah. I was just going to say, have you seen that thing they do with the trombone thing, which is like, you know, a load of sort of plumbing pipe, plastic plumbing pipe?
Oh, I think I saw a clip.
Oh, that's fantastic, that. Brilliant. That's so creative.
So, Danny, when's your next time out with the Buzzers? When's the next tour?
Well, Friday, much to my other half's disappointment, because I completely forgot to tell her, I'm off to Locarno in Italy, and then we do Barcelona, and then after that, San Francisco and LA. And we're booked on the Riot Fest, which is in the States. Actually, I think that one's quite a way off, but in between that, we've got quite a lot of festivals, across Europe and the UK. Yeah, so it's cool because we got a new album out. What about yourself?
No, I've got a bit of time off now. Well, only studio. But are you coming anywhere near Germany, or is it just Spain, Italy, and?
Do you know? I don't think there's any. I can't think of any German ones at the moment. Offhand, but then having said that, I didn't even know we were going to Barcelona till this morning. On Friday.
Well, did your girlfriend?
Well, I did, but you know what it's like. I don't know if you're like this. I know Jamie is. I mean, I thought basically, they kind of pick you up and off you go. If you're lucky, you're lucky if you know where you're going, and that. Do you know what I mean? I think drummers are a bit like that, aren't they?
Definitely. I mean, the fans tell me when the fucking Hosen shows are. They're like,
exactly.
Oh yeah, you're playing blah blah next week. I'm going, am I? They're like, you don't know. I'm like, no,
you ain't got a clue, have you? And remembering backwards, like to the last venue you were at or the last city you were at. I mean, they just
forget about it.
Turn into, do you know what I mean? So it's that kind of thing, really. But yeah, I think it's, it should be quite a good year for us because we got this new album out and stuff. So, but I'll let you know.
Danny.
Hello.
Tell us about the Pledge thing, because you guys did the album with Pledge, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we've just finished it.
What was that like?
Well, yeah, I mean, SLF have just done it. We've just done it. I think it's a really good thing to do, to be honest, I mean, they've been talking about, we've been talking about doing an album for ages. And just, getting time, whatever, getting the songs together, what have you. It just hasn't happened. I think it's been 8 years or something. In fact, just before I joined the band was the last, studio album. So it's actually really good for me to finally get on a studio album after having done so much touring with them, But yeah, I think the Pledge thing's great. People pledge money for, A, you can have a download, or B, some vinyl, or C, some drumsticks and a download, even going up to like Pete flogging one of his guitars. I say flogging, sorry, what I should say is people pledge money to own one of his guitars, which is signed. Or, in fact, I think Pete went a bit mental and said he would do handwritten lyrics, and so many people, wanted to pledge money to have Pete do handwritten lyrics for something like Ever Fallen in Love, that he's now nursing a very bad case of tennis elbow, I think,
Right, it's cramp.
Well, I could have been more rude. But seeing as Robin said we ought to tone it down.
Go for it.
I was just wondering, Danny, whether the fact that you joining the band has got anything relative to the fact it's taken them 8 years to record an album.
It could do, actually, mate. Yeah, it could do. Yeah.
They're like, he's new kid's all right, he can play, let's do an album. All right, it's been 8 years.
Do you know, it's funny you should say that, mate. It's funny you should say that, because when you're in a band that has been going, like Jamie bloody get this, I mean, like when you're in a band, or actually, thinking about it, Robin, because they're Bay City Rollers, but when you're
I think all of us, Sham 69,
Yeah, of course. No, what I was going to say was, when the band's been going bloody so long, I've been in it 10 years, nearly, best part of, right. And you're still a new boy when you've been in a band 10 years, but the band's been going 40,
Danny, I've been 14 years. I've been 14 years in the Toten Hosen now, and I'm still fucking the little Ron Woods, who's not even played in his own country yet. So
no way, honestly,
no chance. I've never done a UK show, and I'm still like, who's that new one? What's his name? That English one who can't speak German.
Right,
14 years now. It'll be 15 this year. So fucking hell, it's
funny, that, isn't it? It's funny how when you're a kid, right? You want to get into rock and roll, and because you want to wear the clothes you want to wear, and you want to play drums and travel the world and be cool and all that stuff, And you listen to people around you, right? And they work in factories, and my brother was a mechanic, and my other brother was a panel beater, and your mates sort of say things like, I've been there. My dad's been there 25 years now, and all he got was a watch or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And you think, I'll never say things like that. And now I'm saying things like, I've been in the band 10 years, and I'm still a new boy. It's like,
you get a stick. You get a stick at the end of it.
Yeah.
I've got a tinnitus and wanker's cramp.
You've got a repetitive strain injury.
But no, thank God. But you know what I mean. Like, what's the drummer's golden watch? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Golden watch.
No, fat cake.
Score T-shirt.
I can't even tell the time yet.
I'm sure it was a time when it was a golden shower for a drummer, wasn't it?
No.
So, Vom, I had a message from Arthur Lurker asking if you enjoyed pissing in Nick Cash's shoes. So, what's that all about?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't actually his. He was trying to sell them. So, I crept around the merchandise and just had a slash in his shoes, and then just left them there, sitting on the merchandise stand. Yeah. And everyone's going, I'm not sure about them.
Did they go up or down in value?
No, he emptied them out, and he still sold them to some poor bloke for a £5 at the end of the night. But yeah, they're probably worth a bit now. Now we've had that number one single, who knows? I don't know.
All right, tour stories. Now, come on, you guys must have loads.
Oh,
I don't know if it's suitable for a show
you're
like
going to get us in trouble here, mate. I mean, I've got about three that just came to mind when he said that about pissing in someone's shoes. I thought, there's no way I can tell that.
I'm all pipe and slippers now, Jamie. That's it now. I'm going to be 50 in August, so I've settled down a bit. No.
You're at 50? Who's 50?
Me, in fucking August. Oh, my God. Yeah. Oh, well. All right. Let's get this one going.
We'll get you a gold watch.
I ain't got a watch. No, I didn't get a watch.
No, we'll get you a gold watch.
A pair of Nick Cash shoes, though.
Yeah, man.
Is that Vom saying that? That's Vom saying that about being 50, yeah?
About what?
Is that you saying about being 50?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, I know.
So I don't know I don't know what questions Jamie's got, but personally, I'd love to ask you if you get any, being 50 and still smacking the shit out of them. Do you get any neck or back problems or anything like that?
Well, I did 1 year. I did have a slip disc in my neck and my lower back, but that was about 5 years ago now, and I did. If you keep in shape, if you keep your gut in and just sort of like, keep pretty fit, then, it's normally like bigger people who have problems ongoing with that once you got it. I did get it and I got it seen to, and I've been touch wood, absolutely fine since. And I don't really, at the start of the tour, make a bit of neck because you're giving it fucking loads, head banging and that, But that kind of wears off after a bit. And I've been really lucky. So in general, all okay, So that's brilliant. What about you two? Give us some war stories. Come on, let's have it.
I had neural surgery on my neck, and I had a disc actually taken out and replaced. Funnily enough, because it had slipped into my spinal column so far. And I couldn't feel my fingers, and I could hardly walk, So luckily, I had the operation. They got me in, usually on the NHS, you'd wait like 9 months for an op or something like that. If you're lucky enough to even got one, it was so far. It had gone into my spinal column so far that the guy said, if you fall over or have a car crash, you'll be a paraplegic. So within 3 weeks, they had me in and operated, And I've got to say, I was lying on the anaesthetist table, and he just put a pre-med in, and he looked down at me and he went, "Are you allergic to anything?" And what came to mind was that Buddy Rich story where he got taken off by in mid-drum solo, and he got taken off, and the nurse said, "Are you allergic to anything?" So I looked up from the table, I looked him straight in the eye, I went, "Country and Western," and he pissed himself with laughter. And then I thought, is that what Buddy said? So that's what Buddy Rich said after being taken off. He had that heart attack mid-solo, and he got taken off. And as they were wheeling him off to the ambulance, the nurse looked down at him and said, "What, are you allergic to anything?" He looked up and went, "Country and Western." I thought it was brilliant.
That's pretty dry, isn't it? You know what I mean?
It is classic, isn't it? Classic. Yeah, but it'd be great to sort of, when you said keep your tummy in, do you mean in real life or when you're on the job? When I say on the job, when I say on the job, let's not go there. Yeah, sure. Sorry, mate. Sorry. Robin has had an injury.
Yeah, I'm scarred mentally.
Well, aren't we all? That's why we're doing it.
I mean, apart from the sort of the wear and tear from general, you know, rocking out and that. I mean, I've got like a lump behind my neck, you know, kind of,
have you?
which the doctors all want to sort of say, oh, you know, no, I ring bells for a living, don't I? You know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, I remember just like, you know, excessive, you know, hot shows and slamming it down, and then, you know, you got to sort of, you know, you're drying off in some cold, drafty thing and not having a proper shower and all that, and not getting, you know, whatever, it massaged out or whatever. You don't do a warm up, and then you're straight back on the next one. Adrenaline takes you through, you know, and then after, you know, years, you realise, oh, I've got a little lump there and it's not really going down. And I've had a million people try to punch it out.
I've never done any of that other stuff.
Yeah, well, showers, showers, you know, you could try once in a while, you know, and sort of try and coerce your mates to, you know, punch your arms every now and again and loosen them up. But, yeah, got a few sort of little lumps on the muscles here and there. And, you know, as you get older, I mean, I still like, you know, try to sort of stretch my tendons. So I haven't got any of that carpal tunnel or refractive strain injury, thank God. But, I mean, I think the best injury I ever sustained was putting a stick through my eyelid on stage in Atlanta.
I've had a few eye problems myself. I've had a few eye ones. Oh, no, not nice. No.
And it was the best / worst thing was we're about a third of the way through the set, and a week into a 2-month tour where we did like 55 shows in 60 days. And it was just like, boom, I did a silly move at the end of a big rock and roll ending. And it was the one time I did, you know, you got your stock ending where you crash the cymbals, do a bit of pedal, and then you go, crack on, boom, on the cymbals. And everyone jumps in the air, hits the power chord and ends. And I didn't do that. I just went on the snare, put my sticks upended and headbutted them onto the snare. So kind of impaled my head on a stick, which wasn't too good. And it took me a few milliseconds for my entire body to go into massive shock, realising I'd become a toffee apple. And I'm on stage with this punk band. So I sort of did a bit of a sort of Rocky Balboa, kind of like through the blood streaming down my face. I was like, oh shit, kind of like that. And I sort of went, guys, they turned around and sort of crapped themselves and attempted to do a ballad, which for a punk band's kind of a bit of a no-no anyway. But then we had this sort of tech guy who was a bit of a sort of gangbanger from the West Coast. And he had his arm in a sling because he'd no doubt been in a few scuffles or whatever. And he saw this, and the one tiny piece of good that he tried to do on the entire tour, before he was sort of threatening audience members with knives and tasers or whatever it was basically run backstage and go, Rob, we need some ice. So he got a whole bucket full of ice, ran up the steps to the Masquerade in Atlanta, Georgia, and tripped on the top step, went flying, ice went everywhere, he dislocated his shoulder. Oh no! He's lying stage right in agony. I'm on the riser doing it, and the band are trying to do this ballad, and the whole thing's just completely screwed up. So I ended up like a trooper finishing the show, even putting in a couple of little stick spins to sort of go, I'm okay, look at me, you know, and then went backstage and sort of laid down, and all I could see was people peering over me going, oh dear. You know, I could sort of hear this echo in this pit in my eye, you know, and their voices. And there's me thinking I'd just put a bit of Savlon and a sticky plaster and I'll be fine. And of course they went, no, you've got to go to hospital. So I went to hospital, but not being American like my gang member friend Tech, he knew the good hospital to go to, so he went to that one. I didn't, and I went to the ghetto hospital where they patch up the local prison inmates. And it's called, if you're an Atlanta resident listening to this, it was Grady Hospital, so I can feel your sympathy now. It took me 13 hours. I saw 13 nurses, and about 3 or 4 in the morning, I was lying in a hospital corridor, feeling very, very sorry for myself, sort of blood and coagulated sweat and stage gear, you know, in the corridor. And then I saw 3 nurses run past me pulling pistols. And at that point, I really wanted my mummy, because I thought this doesn't happen in England, you know. I mean, they weren't nurses, obviously, they're prison guards, but they ran past me pulling pistols, and like I said, I didn't want to be there at that point. Eventually, I got some stitches, came out there with an eye patch and a box of Vicodin with the single instructions: don't get it wet. And I'm thinking, I'm playing sweaty holes for 2 months, you know what I mean? And then I got out of there at 7 in the morning. The guys had been to sleep, and they picked me up in a van, got in the van, and went to the next show. there you go.
The perils of being...
All in a day's
a drummer. Does any of you guys know Adrian Meehan? Any of you lot know Abe Meehan? He's a drummer, and at the moment I think he's playing for Roddy Frame, you know, the old Aztec camera guy. But he had a similar experience.
I tell you who was round here for tea the other day, Dave Ruffy, who played for Aztec camera.
Oh, Dave Ruffy, of course. Yeah,
he came round for breakfast. The Ruts DC came round here about 2 weeks ago, because they was getting off from the airport, come round and made them omelettes and tea and that, and got on the rosé, and then they was off on their merry way. You know, it was great.
Fantastic. What a lovely bloke. He's brilliant, isn't he? He's brilliant. Lovely bloke.
Lovely people.
Yeah, Ruffy, I'd like to get him on the show at some point, because he is a lovely bloke.
He's very. It's like, I wouldn't mind being, you know, what's the word? Oh, fuck it, I don't know. It's gone. I'm a drummer. I'm not meant to know the word. But he's, no, this mate of mine, Abe Meehan, who's you know, he did a similar thing to you, Robin. He stabbed himself in the eye whilst playing, which I guess it must be quite common, do you know what I mean? But he's only got one eye. He's only got one eye, and he's only got one eye that works, and he stabbed himself in the bad eye. So, of course, then he's sort of gone blind. He's gone blind for 3 days. So now he will only play with shades on. So, you know, just to protect himself. So, you know, I can't think of anything worse.
I did have a bad eye one at one point as well, but it kind of recovered. Actually, I don't know if anyone else is. When you get to 50s, right, you know, it's like the old eyesight goes anyway. So you can't, you know, I'm going to have one of these ropes that gets me to the kit soon, I reckon, in about 5 years. You're going to have to fucking, you know, do some of that because it's getting bad. I've got the...
Jet Black, I mean, Jet is 84 or something, I heard, yeah?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, bloody hell, yeah.
That is, you know, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's, you know, Charlie as well. I saw them a while back, a couple of years ago. It was fucking brilliant, you know, Charlie Watts and that, and... you know, brilliant. When I was younger, I thought it'd be all over, but, you know, I thought I'd have to go back to the gas fitting and plumbing at like 50. But now I've thought, well, there's hope for me, I can sort of do a few more years.
Nice one.
I tell you what, have another.
I'm writing. Go on. Why don't we take this to a TV show next? This is getting too much fun. I'm fucking loving this.
I think we'll have to do it on booze. In the pub. It's got to be done on booze in the pub.
Oh, I've had half a bottle of rosé. Does that count? You know, so
yeah, I think that counts, doesn't it, these days?
It should be called Noisy Bastard.
Well, we should do it here because I've got a bar. I'm down in the bar in my house in the cellar, and it's fucking great. Brilliant. I'm just picturing you like here.
Who's got the bar in the cellar?
All the way. Hey,
who's got the bar in the cellar?
Mate, that would be Vom because he lives in Germany. Everyone's got a bar in their cellar. That's brilliant.
Well, yeah, I've got an optics bar in my hot tub. We could all fit in there and just get, you know, do some shots. That'd be kind. You know, obviously you guys have a hot tub in your garden in Croydon. That's how rock and roll I am. You know.
Fucking hell.
Have you got a hot tub in a garden in Croydon?
Yeah.
You get people breaking in and that.
It's the only way to be.
Exactly. Yeah, the Drumming Monkey Bar. You're all welcome anytime you like. Just give me a call.
I'm waiting for.
Just turn up.
I'm waiting for a band to take me to Dusseldorf. I always end up going to Berlin or whatever, you know what I mean, or Frankfurt. But as soon as I'm in Dusseldorf, I will let myself known to you, you know what I mean?
Or maybe don't even do a gig, just come around.
Well, that's the other option, Tom, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Hold on a minute. I've heard about those cellars over there. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to do a Joseph Fritz along the time. We won't come out for 25 years.
Oh, no.
Well, that's
the singer from the Open calls it the black hole. He calls it the black hole because you just always come down here. You don't ever remember fucking leaving it, you know. So
that's why he's 50. You went for a drink when he's 25. He's just escaping from his own hell.
He walks out twice his own age, you know. So
twice.
It's pretty dangerous. He missed 25 birthdays.
Yeah,
All right, so I've got some questions from people on Facebook.
Go on,
Mary Ellen asks, why the drums? It's a pretty standard question, but Robin?
I always say that I didn't choose the drums choose you. I'm sure that's probably fairly universal for a bunch of drummers. You know, it's an infection, you know what I mean? You can't help it.
I remember, you remember that Cozy Powell track, Down to the Devil?
Oh, yeah, down the disco, yeah.
I just remember like that coming on and me sort of tapping on the table and thinking, you know, I was about 6, I suppose, and thinking, hold on a minute, how come I'm drumming this, you know, and it's in time? Well, that's what I thought. And like, you know, I suppose everything's relative, isn't it? But like, you know, but yeah, all the other kids, it just seems like a bit of a noise, you know. I think I could do this, you know what I mean? So I think that was it for me.
I just always sat there and like when they used to have a music class, they had a drum and I'd always go, please pass it to me, please pass it to me. And they never passed it to me and I thought, fuck it, I could do that. So it made me all that more determined. And then I got all these kind of nervous tics. So I was a bit like a like freak walking down the school. Like, and my mum took me to child psychiatrist. And sorry, I'm going to go right into it now. And she said, well, basically, he's mental. You know, no, he's got lots of inattention. You know, and he has to get it out somehow. And you know, and it's like I couldn't fight because I was smallest cunt in the school. So, you know, it was like, what's the other option? You know, get a drum kit. And I did, and then, you know, everything's nice now.
Nice, brilliant.
Everything's sorted, totally mentally sane and everything normal, yeah.
Do you think like they just say that to all the kids, and it's just so happened that you could play the drums? There must be loads of kids out there with drum sets.
Yeah, you should have a drum shop, shouldn't you? You should have a drum shop outside the psychiatrist. Outside the psychiatrist's office, build a fucking big drum shop. Go, come on, get me there. It's me, go on.
Get down in Vom's cellar, play the drum for a few years, see if that works.
Okay. Mark Cross asks, which horror movie would you like to be in and why? And I think we'll go with Vom.
Oh no, not me first. I need time to think about this one. Can I pass it over?
I'll be the dummy in Chucky.
No, can I be the dummy in Chucky? I want to be Chucky. I just want to be in Bride. I want to be in Bride of Chucky. Read that how you will.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I've got my one. I want to be the baby in Eraserhead. Has anyone seen that film? It's not nice.
New or vintage drums?
I'm having trouble hearing you. Can you speak up a bit, Jamie?
Okay, Andy Subs asks, new or vintage drums?
Who are you asking?
Right.
Oh, sorry, Robin.
Obviously, it's very, very cool to say, hey man, you know, vintage all the way, etc. But I just know that they would last about 5 minutes with me. So on a practical level, there would be not really any point in, you know, taking them out. It'd be nice to put them on a shelf and look at them and have everybody come around your house and go, wow, you've got a retro, blah, blah, really old thing. That's worth £1 million. What, you know, that's your pension, etc. And that'd be great. But as far as actual playing, I'm pretty big into hardware and what it can do. To me, not my sort of take on it, whether or not anyone finds this sacrilegious or whatever, hopefully they can see the practicalities behind what I'm saying. But if you put up, it's like saying what's the best car or whatever, and you know, you're going to get some guy who works for Jaguar saying Jaguar are the best, some guy who works for Ford saying Ford are the best, blah, 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 blah. If you line up the top bunch of drum kits, they're all bloody good. If they weren't, they wouldn't be the top, you know what I mean? So whether you play, you know, Sonar or Pearl or Natal or Yamaha or whatever, you know, you take the best of that brand and they're going to be fucking amazing. To me, you know, you just assume that your drum's going to be good. If you wouldn't, you know, you got a problem. But to me, it's about the hardware, what you can do, how it can get your drums where you want them to be, so you can play how you want to be, and how sturdy they are, and you know, just all that kind of stuff. As a teenager or limited budget or limited car space or limited muscle power or whatever, you don't want to be lifting tons and tons and tons of heavy stands, but you want to be durable, you want it to be, all that. So I sort of look into all that kind of angle of it. And so the vintage hardware is very, very puny. You know what I mean? In a nice way. It's not a sort of slag off. In a modern day, I don't think
any vintage hardware would do the job that any of the four drummers that are talking here needed to do. Do you know what I mean?
That's kind of what I'm saying.
I always think that I agree with what you're saying. The hardware on vintage gear is generally quite flimsy, but for me, there's something about the actual drums themselves that I play a Slingerland with a big old 26-inch kick, and I love the sound of it. I love the tone of the drums, and I don't like the way that some companies they buy these like Keller shells and they make them look pretty and then slap the word custom on their logo. That's not custom to me.
Yeah. But I think the answer to the question lies in really what you want from that. If it was, would I like a kit that was mega vintage and worth thousands? Yeah. Would I like to look at it? Yes. Would I put it in a glass cage? Yes. Would I maybe get it out every 15th Sunday of the month and play it in front of my mates? Maybe yes. But would I take it on tour? No. I might do a gentle bit of recording with it, yes, but do you see what I'm saying? Whereas the other guys would be like, totally, yeah, don't want all that modern shit. Oh, it's got lacquered this or wrapped around this, or look at the horrible rubbers on the bottom of that hardware, or look at this. It's just each to their own. I mean, like I said, all of us guys on the show talking to you, we're all cavemen and we just hit things and go ugh, which is great. But it depends on the angle. I mean, obviously vintage, you can't knock it for just the just a sort of history right there. You know what I mean? But
if you're going on stage, you just need something that's going to do the job and stay where you put it at the beginning of the gig, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Whereas in the studio, it's a bit different. You might have a few more options. You might, you might want to. I mean, weirdly enough, I've just done the latest album we did, and I did it with ill-matching kits. It wasn't even the same. I had like an old Rogers kick drum, a new Pearl Masters floor tom, and two single-headed Premier Elite bloody toms from the 60s. From the 60s. And it actually sounded fucking great like that. Do you know what I mean? You know what it's like when you're in the studio. You're going to use a different snare for every track, aren't you? But when you're on the stage, you just want one snare that is going to. You put the bloody snares on, and it doesn't detune all that. They don't roll off all the time. But I hate it when you turn up, because obviously, probably most of the shows you guys do, if you're like me, you go to a different country, so you're not on your own kit. And then, sometimes you turn up and they go, oh, it's a 1964 Ludwig, whatever it is. I remember turning up with this brilliant looking, beautiful black and white acrylic kit, right? Yeah. And it looked amazing, but over the years, it had gone non-round and it had cracks in it. And every time I hit the snare, it just detuned. And it's like, well, that'd be great in the studio probably, but it's just no good. And also, I hate it when, you're probably feeling like you're destroying a piece of history in front of an audience, really. Do you know what I mean? Breaking stuff. There might only be a few left in the bloody world.
I think it's a bit like when people ask you, do you prefer...
An angle on this?
Go on.
I don't know. I think I'm coming from a different way, more like Robin's way. I don't get sentimental about sort of like drums or how old they are or this and that, and to be honest, I'm not like a drummer's drummer, so I'm coming from a different angle of use. Like, I sort of kind of play for the song and the band, and I've always, if you hit it hard enough with the right attack and the right attitude and the right tuning, anything's going to fucking work. It's
going to do the job, isn't it? Exactly.
I've got the ultimate trust in the people who record me, like Vince and Munster and that. He knows my sound, and and then out the front, I've got this guy, and I use the lowest range of all the kits because I just don't believe in this kind of thing about you have to have the Masters custom with the this.
No, I think you're right.
I agree. I don't want to be rude to anybody else who does think that, and I'm sure that a load of people are going to be like, really, what a wanker. But it's how you fucking attack it and how much soul you put into it. And soul is something you can't buy. And I've had so many drummers over the years turn up, you know, oh, my son's a sport band, he's got this fucking kit, but he can't play for toffee. It's just all about, a lot about attitude. Of course it's about the drum as well, but, you know, I generally think, you know, you're not going to hear that much difference if you don't give it some welly, you know?
Absolutely. You've got to know what to play and how to play it. And no, it doesn't matter if you haven't got that, then it doesn't matter if you got the, you know, it doesn't matter what kit you're on. The other thing is, if you're in the studio, you're going to, you know, I don't know about you lot, but I put so much stuff on my drums when I'm recording, it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, like tape and stuff.
Yeah, tape, bloody wallets or iPhones even, milk, baby food. You know.
I'm allergic to milk. I can't do milk. I'm not into milk, no.
Well, you have to stick with the cocaine then.
Yeah, but it's cut with, like, lactose. Shit.
You're probably, yeah, exactly.
Well, what was you going to say, Robin?
Well, I was going to say, a lot of people, it's mainly sort of it's more of a marketing thing, but obviously Joe Public and their rich dads don't necessarily see it that way. They see it as like, I've got to have this. And this whole independent suspension system, or whatever it's called, every manufacturer of drums has their own different take on those three words, but it's basically trying to get that wonderful, isolated, floating drum without anything bolting onto it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, floating.
You know, hook system, rim system, ISS, independent suspension system, whatever it's called, right? And I remember talking to one drum company guy, you know, and he's saying that we went out to Japan in a soundproof room, and there was one tom, like 12, 14-inch tom, whatever it was, with the old ISS mount, and one with a bolt on. Straight onto the old school, where all drums were bolted onto the tom, you know, tom mount. You know what I mean? And tuned with a nice head, and all the guys were like, you know, behind a black screen or whatnot. And they hit one, it sounded lovely. They hit the other, it sounded lovely. And the guy from the maker drums said, "Can you tell the difference?" And everyone said no. And he goes, "Exactly. It's all marketing, right?" So if company A brings out a new form of rubber grommet and a new form of suspension, then company B, C, D, E, F, G, etc., all the leading ones, they have to compete. Now the point is, this said it all. You mentioned Ian Pace before. I think it was in relativity to his size. But the point is, he uses bolt-on toms. As in, you know, the tom arm goes directly into the shell. And if it's good enough for Ian Pace, I rest my case. And that's what I'll always stick to, you know. And like I said, all this dubbing's about, oh, you've got to use the top brand if it's not like a, you know, a reference or a Masterworks or whatever the top level of anyone's kit. And it's got to be ISS. It's got to be the, you know, at the end of the day, you put a really good head on a cheap drum and tune it well, it will sound much better than a badly tuned crap head on the world's best drum. Am I right?
Absolutely.
And
the cymbals. If you've got shit cymbals, the worst, the best sounding kit could sound like a pile of shit if you don't use the right cymbals.
It's amazing how much difference it makes, isn't it? They make so much difference.
Use a cheap kit with expensive cymbals, it's going to sound great. Use an expensive kit with cheap cymbals, it's going to sound shit. You know, too right.
So I started a group on Facebook called Life Hacks for Bands.
Tampax for bands?
Life hacks.
Life hacks?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like cheeky little tricks, you know, to get you out of sticky situations. So, like, one of the guys posted on this group that, you know, if you turn up to a gig, you're using someone else's kit and there's no carpet there, then one of the things you can do, if there's no other option, you can go to the bar, get a couple of beer mats and stick one under each of the legs on a kick drum. That sort of thing.
No, that's one thing I can't do. I have to insist on a fucking carpet, but it could be the worst kit in the world. You can bash it, but if it's sliding, it's shit.
Okay, so if there's no other option, then what do you do?
You go next door to KFC, steal their welcome mat, which is like the rubber gym mat, run the back door, and it's the only way. Turn it upside down so the drum spurs go into the rubber and pierce them. I've had pretty much every single connotation of drums moving. Recently I did a gig with Sham 69, and we're on stage on a big riser. I'm on my drum carpet or whatever, or there was a drum carpet, my right foot's pretty solid, it's pretty strong, and a kick drum beating a kick, a beater hitting a kick drum shoots out like a really powerful bolt of air. I've had lead singers sort of dry themselves down in front of the kick drum, it's a bolt of air, and that's the biggest force on that kit. And so my entire rug started moving towards the edge of the riser during the show. And I started screaming, I'm on stage screaming for anyone to sort of, take notice of what's going on, because in about 2 more inches, the entire kick drum would have just shot off the front of the stage. And I was screaming at these, people with the show sec T-shirts on, I need a hammer and nails. And they're thinking, what on earth is this guy talking about? He's on stage playing rock and roll, and he wants hammer and nails. He's going to build a rabbit hutch or something, And they ran off. I think I just confused them, but that's what we needed, is to tack the actual carpet, stop him moving. They didn't do that. So in the end, I played 2/3 of the set with this bald-headed fat security guy kneeling down, clutching the rear corner of my drum carpet. It was pretty hilarious. Poor bloke was massively deaf, I think, by the end of it. But yeah, it's not just about a carpet. If you've got a polished or a fiberglass riser or a polished stage, you do tend to move the entire rig. And no amount of gaffle will help you. So it's helpful to have a couple of hammers and screws and nails and shit.
Or a bolt.
What's the worst thing?
Like drum spurs that go weird on a borrowed kit, or it's always things like that. Or a snare drum stand that'll jump about. If you hit that hard enough, it's going to fucking jump all over the fucking place, isn't it?
But no, you're right. It happens to lightweight hardware snare drums and really heavyweight. Like the company I'm using, they developed the snare stand, and they said, to combat the jumping around, we'd made it really heavy. And I just was a bit dubious. So the first time I played it was a drum clinic for 1,200 people at the Moulin Rouge, which was another story in itself. Within 30 seconds, the snare drum's jumping around in my bollocks, and I was like, terrible. So my left pedal, while I'm trying to play these beats,
and they fall forward and shit like that. Oh,
well, all of that. So obviously you got certain companies that do little spikes that come down and whatnot, and that's all well and good. But if you or anyone suffers from snare drum jump aroundy itis and hasn't got spikes on the bottom, what you can do, which is I'm quite a bit of a DIYer and a practical problem solver, get 3 screws and literally screw it down through your rubber feet so that it points out about 4 mil, just enough to scar the shit out of your hand if you accidentally rubbed it by the bottom, and that snare drum will never move.
Or the deserting hi-hat, that's another one. Oh, come back to me. Fucking hi-hats, I've only got little legs, and they're fucking off. The hi-hats are running off the side of the stage. Come back.
Good point, yeah.
Velcro.
Velcro's a good one with cymbal stands, but not kick drums.
I get that snare thing. Where it jumps around. The bass is jumping around. It starts off in the right place, ends up either in your bollocks or away from you.
Oh, there's nothing better than hitting yourself in your bollocks, is there? Oh,
it's lovely, isn't it? Lovely. I live for it. Live for it. Luxury. No pain, no to
Velcro's good, but you get a load of old sticky residue if you ever want to take it off, and it's a pain in the ass. But either Velcro or the screw thing would totally sort out that snare drum, or stands, China stands. If you're whacking a China, it bounces off the riser, which has happened a few times. I've all that. You see bands trying to cover it in gaffer tape, but it'll never work, and you'll spend longer taking the gaffer off than you were on bloody stage.
Yeah, but I was so impressed with you, Robin, when we played with the boys and the business in Berlin.
Yep.
You turned up with your little bag of tricks, and you saved the fucking day for me, mate.
I'll still take the bag of tricks, Mum. It's just a little makeup
bag of tricks.
And it's got a bunch of cymbal felts, a bunch of washers to go underneath, or them pre-made ones with the spool and the bottom of the plastic ones, a bunch of top nuts, or whatever you want to call it, because sometimes you'd be surprised you turn up at a rehearsal or a session or a hired kit and they haven't got anything. It's just like the bare thread of a cymbal stand with no felts and nothing. So I bring all my own. I bring different sizes as well. I bring my own hi-hat clutch, because that's guaranteed not to undo halfway through. A bunch of Allen keys and maybe a little bit of sticky tape, whatever. And it's saved my ass. And even because I'm massively anal about all this shit, if you're borrowing a kit, if you're borrowing off someone you don't know, and you add on your own felts, And at the end of the gig, when you're doing a changeover and maybe they're headlining, they see you taking off what they think's your felt. So if you mark them with a Sharpie or even spray them silver or gold or some silly little funny colour, then you know that they're yours and they can't dispute the fact. So it's funny, but that's a
There's nothing wrong when it's nothing worse when you can't do an open hi-hat accent when there's no hi-hat to have. You know, you need that in some bits. You know,
especially if you're doing a sort of new session for a new band and they turn around, you're dropping beats because you're trying to do the thing. They don't care about your equipment. They just want you nailing the band. You know.
I'll tell you the other thing is I've got a big nose, and there's so many times I've hit my nose.
Oh yeah, me too.
You think you know nasal problems?
I've hit the nose, my thumb. I've hit myself in the knob. I've hit myself in the eye. They're in a place where you haven't hit yourself as a drummer.
I've chipped my teeth, on the stick.
So what do you do about that then?
What's that? We're invincible.
How can you remedy that problem?
Have you never hit yourself on the nose, Jamie?
Not that I can recall.
What about you, Robin?
Oh, of course. I'm like you. I've chipped my teeth. You know, I've twatted myself in the forehead. I mean, it's just bad technique, and obviously being a rubbish drummer. Unlike Jamie, who's basically got it down, and we're all out of jobs come the end of this interview.
Well, I hope that's what it is. I'm not just a really big-nosed bastard.
Yeah. I'm sure my nose is growing because I've hit it so many times, you know. A lot of people think that
your nose keeps growing or something or maybe as you shrink you get older or something. You know, that's worrying me.
Drummers' noses keep growing, and it's a shame. It's a shame that your knob doesn't keep growing. You know, I've whacked myself in the balls so many times. I'm hoping that's going to grow, but it's my nose.
It's just the swelling. Mine keeps growing. I can't seem to stop it. A couple of times a day, it usually goes down again, but it does keep growing.
That's why I'm going to need a bigger coffin, not because of how big I am, because my nose. You know.
Yeah.
Just to bury me in a big one.
I think Jamie's improved his technique to not harm himself to preserve his cherubic look. I think that's what it is.
I need all the help I can get.
He's one of the best looking drummers, I must say, Jamie, not being,
Thank you.
But anyway, I just wanted to say that I've also been shot up my bum on the first, one of the first shows I ever did. Someone fired an air rifle and my mum had to pick the pellet out. And I got stabbed. Yeah, and I got beaten up one time on stage. Yeah, so
you were shot on stage?
Yeah, I was shot up the arse
in the bark box.
No, not in the dirt box, but
I said in the bark box, like Forrest Gump. Tell us what it's like to play a show with pellet up your ass.
Well, it wasn't too painful because I was leaning over on the left cheek. Right cheek was kind of like, going for it, and then my mum had to pick it out afterwards.
Nice.
How old were you then, Vom?
Hey?
How old were you?
I was about 16 then, down the local youth club.
I thought you were going to say it was like a couple of years ago or something.
No, I don't get shot anymore. Thank God for that. Still get beaten up, but not shot. That's all right. I've come a long way.
All right, guys, so I think we can wrap it up now. I just want to say thank you to you all for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure having you.
Nice one, Jamie.
We do the same tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are up for it, then I'd love to have you on again at some point. In a future episode. I mean, it was a pain in the arse getting you all together.
not shot up the arse. Yeah. Stabbed in the arse. I got stabbed in the arse in Brentwood. In Brentwood, I got stabbed in the arse in the toilets before the show. That was another pretty good one. Yeah. So
we'll take that for next week, shall we?
Yeah, stabbings and shootings next week. Yeah.
We'll just call it drummers' injuries, week. You know what I mean?
Anyway, see you later, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Take it easy, man.
Take it easy.
Brilliant. See you later, Jamie.
Yeah, see you later.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye. See ya.
Bye. See ya.
So that's it. I want to give a big thanks to Robin, Vom and Danny for giving me their time. Thanks to you for watching, and thanks to Viva La Rock for deciding to sponsor the show. Wow. I'm going to leave you now with a track called Noisy Bastards, which was written by Reverend Paul Confused from the band The Deadbeats. Now, if you want to go and check out The Deadbeats, their website's deadbeatsrockandroll.com. They've got a Facebook at facebook.com/deadbeatsrockandroll. Give them a listen, and I will see you soon. Take it easy.
Pick up the slack, noisy bastards.